Okay, honestly, everything in this video is in the title. What is a NAS? Should you want one? And if you do want one, what do you have to do to build one? So, first off, what is a NAS? Now, it's actually quite simple. It is network attached storage. So, a computer with hard drives, or SSDs, just storage in general, connected to a network that you can put data on from your computer. That's literally all there is to it. You can set up parity protected like RAID arrays if you want. You cannot do that. It's up to you. I'm choosing to do that because I don't want to lose my data, and I'm also buying used hard drives. Questionable move, but I figured I'd try it because I want to. But, you don't have to do that if you don't want to. But now, why would you want one? Well, you have a ton of storage all of a sudden. Like, you have a laptop, right? Or maybe even a desktop. And let's say it has a terabyte of storage. That's a decent bit, but you kind of start thinking, what would happen if that laptop or desktop were to die? I don't have any backups. What about all those family photos that are on here and that I just don't really want to take up that space so I can install those games? Well, enter the NAS. You put a bunch of cheap hard drives in there that just have a bunch of bulk storage, put it in a parity protected array to protect the data from being lost due to like a drive failure, and then back up data to it. You can either move the data completely off your computer, just hold it back up, really whatever you want. And the best thing is if you're using either true NAS, which is free, or Unraid, which is not free but is a little more user-friendly, I think, and offers some greater flexibility. I'll be doing a little more of a deep dive into that during the building part. You're able to host a bunch of VMs and stuff. So the Minecraft server that you run sometimes for your friends, well, put that on your server. Sorry, your NAS, which can also basically be a server. Your random VM that you need for testing Ubuntu stuff or whatever, put that on your NAS and remote into it. Your Plex server, well, why are you running that on your computer? Run that on a NAS. There's all sorts of awesome things you can do. There's tons of threads all over the internet for looking at some stuff. I'm not going to go too much more into that here because honestly, if having a bunch of storage on a separate computer connected to the web isn't cool enough already, and you don't have ideas for what you can use that, don't spend the money. You're just going to end up with a computer sitting there doing nothing. But on to what you'd have to do to build one. So the best way, I think, is to take your old computer and convert it. You don't need a ton of processing power for NAS. I mean, if you're going to be running tons of VMs, sure, maybe you want to have a crazy Threadripper system with all sorts of stuff, but you don't need that. I'm going to be using an AM4-based system with a Ryzen 5 3600, and going to be stocking it with two 4 terabyte drives, a 2 terabyte drive I have on hand, and a 2 terabyte SSD as a cache. Hopefully, eventually, adding another 2 terabyte SSD to give that cache parity protection. And then, once you have that, you kind of throw everything together. You get your true NAS installed, or Unraid. I'll be using Unraid, like I said. And then you set it up. But why would you choose Unraid or true NAS? So, honestly, since Unraid has, I believe, added ZFS to its suite of, RAID ability things, whatever you want to call it, it's really just personal preference. Unraid costs about $60 for the entry license. You can spend as much as like $100 and something for the pro. And the differences between the licenses are the entry, you can only have 6 storage devices attached. Then the next one is 12, and then the highest one up is unlimited, whereas TrueNAS is free. But Unraid is a lot more user-friendly if you're a noob to this like me. Like, I've experienced building computers, but never working as like a network admin or something. So I'm going to be using Unraid for the ease of use and the fact that Unraid's proprietary parity software allows you to just put in as many drives as you want, whenever you want, as long as your parity drive is the largest drive in the array. But what even is a parity drive, honestly? I didn't cover this in the NAS part, but now that we're building it, it might be helpful to know. Well, a parity drive basically just holds a copy of your data in a sense that allows you to reconstruct the other drives, but not exactly, because based on what Unraid says, you could have an 8 terabyte parity drive and then 10 other 8 terabyte drives and it'll still protect the data. Well, how it works, and this is actually really cool, is all of the drives have kind of an index at which they have a 0 or a 1. That's how the data is stored. And if you take all the indexes in a column, so all the drives and line them up, and you add up the 0s and 1s, you'll get either an even or an odd number. If you save whether it's even or odd to that parity drive, then the computer can say, oh, these are adding up to an odd number, but it should be even. That disk that I just lost, well, it must be a 1, because 1 plus an odd number will always be even. And that way, if you lose one drive in the system, you're always able to restore it. And you can even have 2 parity drives, which allows you to lose 2 drives. It's just, how big an array do you want? But I think that's most of it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one where I will actually be assembling the NAS and seeing how it works.